Sometimes real estate isn't just about business. It could be diamonds, divorce, diplomas, or death. There's so many things. Diplomas. Yeah, there's diplomas. Graduation, empty nesters. Diplomas are empty nesters. So when we look at all the D's of real estate, Glynn, like there's a lot of different life events that we could summarize into just the D's. So that's the diapers, diamonds, divorce, death, diplomas, and then I like to say de-relocation because there's not a good one for relocation. But these are all the things that are usually the life triggers that will inspire somebody to change their housing situation.
As far as diapers are concerned, that could be both of us.
Yes.
You're looking at first-time homeowners. You're looking at people that, hey, we're in an apartment. We want to get our first house.
Yep.
You're also looking at the same thing. We're in an apartment. We need a bigger house, so we're looking for a rental.
I feel like we should add dogs to this list because sometimes they get dogs before they get diapers, and they realize they need a yard now.
That's
and they
true.
buy.
There's so many people. The first thing I look at is backyard.
Yes, they need a
Is
yard.
it fenced in? Will foo-foo
Yes.
run away?
Can we keep them in here? And then diamonds, obviously getting married. You know, sometimes diamonds come before diapers or diapers before diamonds. We're in a whole new world these days.
Yep.
So getting married, the biggest thing with getting married is usually you have two people that were living separately at some point that are now joining together, and they may both have properties potentially. The mistake we potentially see is they'll offload the other property that may have some equity in it that could be a perfect leasing property.
Yeah, we see it all the time.
And they're not going to maybe get the returns on it on a sales side. Like it might be a cute little, it's the perfect buy box. It's a little 3-bed, 2-bath, 1-story, probably in a decent area. That would be an amazing rental property. And instead they sell it and then move in instead of holding on to it and building an asset that they can use and leverage later.
That's right.
Okay, so then we're looking at divorce. That gets a little ugly.
Those are tough for us.
Yeah.
Because if they decide to keep the property, now we got to split the owner's draws.
Yes.
We're sending 2 checks out each month.
Someone's got to buy the other one out and retitle
they're buying
it.
them out.
But then they have to
usually
refinance
not happy with
it.
each other.
And they'll have to refinance it, so they lose all that equity they did have in it. So I think we can both agree that if you're getting divorced,
those get ugly.
It probably makes sense just to sell everything and start fresh. Take that money, go buy a rental property if you want to, but maybe not hang on to it because then...
We only have a couple of those.
Yeah.
Most of the time they're selling them.
Yeah, because they're just not getting along. They're getting divorced for a reason,
Right.
usually. And everybody wants their money at that point. And
That's right.
They don't want to keep meeting of the mind to decide, should we deal with this repair or not on the rental property?
Don't want to talk to you anymore.
Okay, so then we're looking at death. That is an unfortunate thing that does happen. We all eventually die at some point. What do we do with the house? I think for both of us, we can agree that a lot of times it makes sense to hold on to the property because it's usually owned outright, unless it's a really early death that just wasn't anticipated.
Right.
Then we're trying to figure out how do they still live in the property, and that's something that we work with like estate attorneys and making sure everybody's taken care of. But if they've lived in the property for a while and they have a lot of their equity in there, it doesn't always make sense to just sell right away and distribute the funds to the family, especially if the rest of the family is in decent financial health. It might make sense to turn it into a rental and keep building that appreciation because after 10 years of owning a house, the value just skyrockets. And sometimes I think it makes sense to just keep getting cash flow from it.
I agree.
So those are pretty simple. What would you say are your 2 favorites then? Are yours diapers and diamonds?
Well, the ones that we see the most are the diapers and probably death.
Diapers and death?
And
so you got the full end, you got the book end.
The diapers, death, and diamonds.
Okay.
Probably be our top 3.
And which ones of those 3 you think are the least taken advantage of?
Probably the diamonds.
You think
they just
sell because they're
I
just
don't
excited?
need the house anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and they could use that as income.
Exactly, and build that little nest egg. Everybody thinks they need a 401k to build the nest egg, and we've talked about this in previous episodes, that this is another version of your 401k. Like we want you to diversify, and if you get it early on in the marriage and build that equity, and then say you guys end up getting a divorce, at least now you have something to split assets with versus coming to the table with cash because you just bought a property that you can't flip fast enough.
Right.
When life hits hard, late payments, medical bills, job loss, or even the need to move quickly, many homeowners feel trapped. The fastest way out seems to be selling to a cash investor, but that means giving your home away for pennies on the dollar. You don't have to do that. Nearly half of homeowners today are equity rich, and that value belongs to you. With our One Move program, you can unlock that equity immediately, get cash in hand now, and still share in the upside when your home resells. Or, if you'd rather, we'll shop your property to multiple cash buyers so you can choose the best offer instead of settling for one low bid. Go to donedealoffers.com and discover the smarter way to get cash fast without losing the equity you've worked so hard to build.
To those who take the risk, who bet their life savings, their blood, sweat, and tears on a rental property to make a nice place for someone to live and a nice living for themselves. To those who get this call or no call at all. To those who keep adding more properties, it will all be worth it for you and for them. You care about preserving your investments. So do we. Real Property Management.
Diplomas too.
What do you see the most?
I think diplomas is a big one for us because we got a lot of empty nesters that have this big 5-bedroom house with a pool and there's no kids anymore. They don't have teenagers running around and they barely go to half of the house. So usually we'll see those sell because they're usually not great opportunities for leasing because they're a lot of liability, really big. The pool's a liability. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And they can usually get a really good chunk of change if they've had it long enough and sell it to a family that's just starting to do that.
Right.
But then what they do with that money isn't always the smartest. They don't always reinvest it. They'll maybe get a condo or something.
Right.
The lock and leave communities, which as much as we love those, that's my least favorite purchase because the HOA fees are always astronomical and they don't usually stay there as long as they think they're going to stay there. And they kind of get driven crazy that they have neighbors again when they had all this space before and now they're sharing walls. So I don't always love when they get condos unless they're going to like a beach condo in Florida or something, living that lifestyle. It's a little different.
That's a little funner.
Yeah, that's a lot more fun. And probably a little more affordable than what we have here, depending on the area. But yeah, diplomas, we get a lot of, and they know it's coming, right? They know they've got a senior going off to college. So we start having the conversation sooner than later. Then we start watching the market. Okay, is next year going to be a good? And sometimes they'll hold it one more year just to see if the market changes or not. But usually we know those are coming up. It's the bigger
a planned event.
Yeah, like
more on the death. It's more the accidental.
Yeah, death, divorce. Sometimes you don't always
Yep.
see it coming, depending on what party you are. Diapers. Sometimes that just happens too.
Yep.
Or you sporadically decide, hey, we want to start building a family, and we just bought this house, and it doesn't make sense for us to stay here. So I think, and then relocation we talked about as well. That's kind of a sudden thing. So I think when we have the sudden instances, sometimes it makes sense to get some breathing room and lease it out. And then when we can kind of plan for it, then we know, okay, maybe it might make sense to sell it instead.
Well, you got a little more time to plan it out and
Yes.
figure out what's best for you.
Yes, because leasing is not a permanent thing. It can be a temporary thing if you
Right.
want it to, especially if you run into that accidental landlord situation we've talked about in the past. Transitions are tough. They can be tough because it's a lot of moving parts.
Main thing is don't stress about it. Make sure
How do you not stress about it?
Just you.
My whole life just went up in smoke. How am I not supposed to stress about this?
But there's some things you stress about, but with the house, make sure you talk to your professionals and make sure you ask the questions.
Right, and find someone who has a plan. That's the biggest thing because the reason why you're stressing out is because you don't have a plan. So find someone who has the plan. See how you fit.
Once you get those answers, you know what you're going to do.
And so it might be inconvenient because some of these things are not exciting, right? But when you get the plan and you put it in place and you execute the plan, it removes a lot of the stress. stress comes from not knowing. At least in my case, if I don't know what's going on, it stresses me out. If I know the next steps and what's the next bridge to get to, it makes it a lot easier. And a lot of times it's just having that first conversation, but they're so afraid. How do you overcome that initial fear to just even talk?
I was going to say I've worked with prospective owners. I talked to them 5 or 6 years ago, and we've talked over the years of, is this the right time? Is it not? And they'll call me up out of the blue and say, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah.
But it's building that trust with them. You answered their questions. They liked what you said. They felt comfortable. You're going to take care of me when time comes. And it may be a while. You don't get a phone call and I want to sign you right now.
Right.
You don't get those very often.
Right.
So a lot of our stuff, it may be 3 months, it may be 6 months, it may be 3 years. You never know. And I just tell them, whenever you get a question, just give me a call.
Right.
Because I'll be there for you.
And they're just trying to figure out the steps. So when they have that time to do that, it's great. If they're in the crunch and they need to make a decision, like we became accidental landlords. I don't think I told you about that before, but we were living in San Antonio. We just bought the house. We were so excited because we're VA loans, so we can buy really expensive houses and put no money down as young airmen and all that fun stuff. And we bought a house that was probably not a good fit to become a rental because no one educated us of what the buy box looked like. But then we got relocated up here to Dallas, actually. And we probably had 45 days notice, and we tried to sell the property. We tried and we tried and we tried, and we kept reducing the price, and we just couldn't sell it because it was surrounded by new construction. It was such a new home. They'd walk in our house and they'd go, well, I'll just go build it down the street on this lot, brand new. No one's lived in it. So what we ended up doing was, well, I guess we're going to have to rent it out. And so we just thought we knew everything, and we rented out to a family. And not only... I mean, we had an agreement. We had an agent put the agreement together for us, so we at least did that part right.
At least you got that right.
We did that part right. We barely collected enough rent to break even on. We moved up to Dallas, and at some point, probably like month 9, 10, they started. Hey, it was back when the economy, the gas, the boom with gas, or not the non-boom with gas, where everybody was getting a little bit of pinch, and they were oil workers because they were going back and forth from San Antonio. And they said, hey, money's getting a little tight, blah, blah, blah. Well, one of the months they're like, can we actually just use our deposit to pay for our rent this month instead of paying you guys, and we'll get you on the next month. And we said, we get it. It's hard times. If it were us, that's what we would want, blah, blah, blah. Let them do that. The next month, they just upped and left in the middle of the night. They were gone, completely gone. So we lost a whole month's worth of rent, no security deposit. I have never seen carpet get this disgusting. When they moved their furniture out, we had a black stain from his boots from the oil field sitting on the couch every day, just oil. I mean, we had to tear it all out, right? They had young girls, so they had everything hung up on every wall for their little decorations and hair ribbons and all that. It was just trash. A brand new construction house with just holes in the wall. It was so sad. And we were completely like, we'll never do that again. We'll never do that again. And now that I know a little bit more about it, like I would have done a little differently. Definitely don't give them the last month's deposit.
Security deposit's there for a reason.
Yes. And we just thought, we're military, they're oil field, like it's kind of, community, like they'll be good on us. Like your word's your word. We're in Texas. All, you try to expect the best of everyone. And we got burned. And to this day, they still owe me $1,600.
That's one of the things you gotta step back. You gotta take emotions out of the mix.
Yep.
And that's so hard for the owners.
And we were just young 20-year-olds. Like it wasn't like we didn't know what we were doing. And I just had a kid. Like we had our own lives up in Dallas. We were in a totally different city, metro. And we had to deal with all the issues that came up. My husband was always driving down to fix something in the property. Mm-hmm. And you'd think being a new construction house, it wouldn't have problems, but they do.
They do.
And then you still have to deal with HOA violations if they have too many cars out or all that. Like, we didn't have any of that covered. And it was a nightmare. And I know I'm not the only one that's gone through this. Like, I'm sure you've come across.
That's one thing that's happening right now big time is HOA. They figured out HOA violations could be an income stream. And we are getting, every week, we get probably 2 to 3 HOA violations from somewhere for either weeds in the flower beds, not mowed yard, garbage cans on the street. At my house, I had a extension cord going across my driveway up by the garage. I got a violation because of that. I mean, they pick anything to try to get you.
And all they got to do is take a picture and send a letter.
Send a letter, and they're done.
Yep.
And if you don't take care of it, they'll fine you.
Yep.
And that's one thing that we
take
fight
care of that
all the time.
So you contest the violation?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
that's worth its weight in gold right there.
It's crazy.
So there's a lot of different things that happen in life that could cause you to have a real estate conversation, and whether it's leasing it or listing it, like, you got to talk to somebody is what it really comes down to.
You got to educate yourself.
Educate yourself, figure out what's going on, because there's just so many different scenarios and so many different parties involved, depending on if you're getting married or if you're having children or if someone passes away or you're becoming an empty nester. They all have different scenarios and different goals. You're at different points of your life at that point.
Right.
Someone who's looking at going into senior living is going to treat their home differently than someone who's thinking about adding another family member.
Right.
And so having that conversation is really that's all we ask, right?
Just give us a shot.
Just give us a shot. Let us have the conversation. Let us educate you and find the best thing that fits your goals. We don't need to fit our goals, because if it doesn't work for me, I'm handing them to you. And if it doesn't work for you, they're coming to me. But either way, we want their goals achieved. And if they don't have the conversation, that's usually just the very biggest first step.
Shame on you.
No, we got to do that.
Not you.
Got to do that. Got to have the conversation.